Right, hi and welcome back to part 2. In today's video we'll be dealing with the rotary encoders, fitting the rest of the rotary encoders and connecting up the switches to the BB64 section here. Now yes, where I left you we started putting in the rotary encoders. We had 3 rotary encoders in already. That's the heading encoder, altimeter and the FMS. I've got 2 more rotary encoders here which we're going to put in as our the ones that we use most. So this will be the course and barrow one, and this one will be our nav comms one. I've got another one loose somewhere. Here it is. Doesn't actually function, this one, but I'm going to use this and put it in the comms socket just to use up the hole there, and if I do get a new one then I'll replace it. Okay, well let's go ahead and fit these last rotary encoders in place. So here we are, got our hot glue gun ready. Just need to prop this up on something, so let's find something to prop that up on. So that the rotary encoders will stick through. Got our glue gun ready, got our rotary encoders. So the first ones to go in, ones we're looking for are the course and barrow on this side and the nav on that side. So we've got 2 at the top here to go in and 1 over here to go in. Right, so here we are, that's the BB64. Now what we need to do is to attach each one of these leads to a pin on here, and that will be designated for that function. It might be worth keeping a list of what ones you're doing and what pins they're connecting to, so that might help you out. So it's fine with all these leads, the Dupont leads, they'll fit straight onto the pins. However, some of these rotary encoders, where I've cut them from another project, haven't got a plug on the end, so I'll have to attach a Dupont lead to those. But let's work my way through it. B1, B2, all the way down to B32 there, and then on the other side here we have B34 all the way up to B64. So it's a case of trying to work out the pairs and connecting them up. So they're the rotary encoder cables, so let's ignore them for now. And we start attaching the buttons. So just make sure you've got a pair every time. So that's pair. I'm going to start with this pair on B1. Doesn't matter which way round they go, just push on like that. And the next pair, just make sure they're a pair where I've got them bundled it might get a bit confusing, so just make sure you've got a pair there. So that pushes on B2. On what we've done up to this point now, we've fitted, I can just capture that in there, we've fitted the rotary encoders in there. Here we've got the main function ones here, we've got the altitude, heading and nav rotary encoders, and over here we've got the FMS rotary encoder, the coarse and barometric, and the comms one here. Just got a little bit of extra glue on there. Now I didn't have enough rotary encoders to do them all. The volume controls up here, you can just use a normal variable resistor, a pot, to go up here. They're not functioning anyway, so it would just be for aesthetics. This one here is a comms one, but I only had a 40 encoder in my pack. I've run out of encoders, so I just put that 41 in there anyway. see if we can get that into view, just so that I can put the knob on there and it will look effective. I have the comms set to AI anyway, so I wouldn't be using this anyway. But the primary ones here for the altitude, FMS, heading, etc., which you do need, have all got their rotary encoders in there. I've also, at this stage here, as you can see the back there, I've now wired all the switches into the BBI64. This is the BBI64. Very laborious task of plugging each one of these in, but now they're done. Quite happy with that. I've just got the transfer buttons to add, these two transfer buttons to go in, and then that will be all the switches complete, and then we can tackle the wiring on the encoders. Okay, so let's crack on with that bit, get that done. Okay, so we're now at the stage of we've got all our buttons connected to our Bodner BB64, and we're now going to start wiring up the encoders. Now, as I said earlier, because these encoders have been salvaged from another project, I haven't got the plugs on the end, so I'm just going to extend these wires with Dupont cables that have got the sockets on the end here. So for that we're going to need a few tools. There's a, put that down there. These are a few tools that I have from my telecom days. I've got these, which are called, I don't know what the technical name is, we used to call them jellies. They're just a little crimp that's got silicone inside them, and they make a watertight seal. They're rated up to 60 volts AC, so they're perfect for this project. We're only running on 5 volts DC. So let's got that there, and you're going to need a set of jelly crimps, which are these. You can use normal pliers, but these have got, when they close together, you can see there's a little gap there still, and that's just perfect for crimping those together. It's also got wire cutters on the back there. So what I'm going to do is take the plain cable, get one of these cables that have got the Dupont plugs on the end, cut them and join them to those. Okay, let's do that. Okay, right, I've put all the wiring onto the encoders now. So you can see that now all the encoders have got the cables with the plugs on to connect to the BBI64. So before we start connecting that up to the board, I just want to go through a few things. Just want to go through a few things about the encoder itself. This is the encoder. It's a KY-040 encoder. Give a look close up of that. There it is. And on here we've got 5 pins. Now, if you look at the encoder with you can see we've got these 2 mounting holes here. Now they start with the first pin on the underneath, above the mounting hole. So is your ground connection. So you've got ground. That's the first pin, just above the mounting hole. Second pin is your positive. Third is your switch, because these not only are rotary encoders, but they also have a switch. Like that. Fourth pin is your DT, and your 5th pin is your CLK, which the DT and the CLK is either your left or right turn. That's all these are. Okay, so I'll just run that through again, a little diagram here, and you can see this clearly. Here we go. So this is the KY-040 Rotary encoder, and this is looking at it from above. Now these are your mounting holes here. So the first pin above the mounting hole is your ground pin. Second pin is your positive pin. Now these need to be linked to a 5 volt power supply. Third pin is the switch for the push button switch on the rotary encoder. fourth is your DT, and your fifth is your CLK. Again, DT and CLK is your left and right turn. Now, one more point before we start connecting these up to the Leo Bodner BB64. In the software, in the Leo Bodner software, it states which pins can be used for rotary encoders. You can actually use all the pins, but they must be wired in a specific setup, special series. So you have to. These will only be your DT and your CLK pins, your left and right turn on the rotary encoder. Now, the first one, so your DT, must be connected to an odd number, and then your CLK to an even number. They must go in pairs. So you can have B1 and B2 for your DT and your CLK. You can't have B2 and B3. Okay, they go in specific pairs. So again, on the other side of the card, you can have B33 and B34, but you can't have 32 and 33. But do check out the software. I'll leave a link in the description below, and it explains it all. But when you start to connect these up to your BBI64, make sure that your DT and your CLK are in specific pairs. The switch connection can go to any pin, but the DT and the CLK must be in pairs. Right, I'm going to start wiring that up and catch you when it's done. Okay, first rotary encoder, which is this one. Now we've got to identify what's our positive and our ground on this encoder. Now, if I was you, starting from fresh, make sure you use the same colour codes throughout, which will make things a lot simpler. Use black and red for your positive and your ground, or so on, or black and white, just so that you can follow it a little easier. So this is my free rotary encoder, so just get an idea. So there's our mounting holes. So the first pin on our mounting hole is our ground, which is actually that orange cable, which this is where, as I say, it makes it awkward. So that's a ground. And then the one next to it is our red cable, which is our, I'll pull that off of there. Let's make these all separate. So that's our ground, because I've got two oranges on this one rotary encoder. That's where things are going to get confusing. So the first orange, that's our ground pin, and then our positive is our red pin, which is that one there. Now, to join these all together, I've made up like a little block like this, which has just got a pin header on it, and then all the backs are soldered together, so that will join all our grounds and lives together. So, because that's a very difficult one to identify, I'm going to make this one our ground board. So I'll just push that on there, and these are going to be all our grounds. So just mark something on there just to identify that this is going to be our ground. Just put on their ground, GRD. They're all our ground. Sorry, they're all our ground pins. Going to go to that. We know this is our positive. That's got to go to +5 volts. So that we need to keep separate as well. So just for now, I'm going to clip something to that so that we know what it is. I'm trying to find a little clip. Haven't got a little clip, got a big clip. So I'll clip that for there to now, so we know that's our positive. So if you colour code your wires correctly, you won't have this problem. So that's our ground, just leave that there. That's our positive. Next wire along, I've got a green, this one. This green is our middle pin, which is our switch pin. So that can go to any one of these, but don't forget you've got to keep those pairings for your rotary encoders. So I'll just talk you through the first one, and then we can go on to this. I'll just speed through the rest off camera. But so this is just a switch pin, so that can go to any one of these, but remember your DT and your CLK, it's got to be an odd and an even. So if I'm going to use this next pin here, which is pin 20, then 21 and 22 can be my DT and that pin. So, and again I'm going to need a ground for pin 20, so I'll push that on there. In fact, what I probably will do, no, that's okay. Right, let's push that on to pin 20. I was going to leave the switches till last, but push that on pin 20 there. Because this switch is getting its ground from there. We'll take a ground to here anyway. All these grounds are linked. I can just push that on there, so that'll be pin 20 going on there. Very, very fiddly. Once you start getting so many cables, the pins start to bunch up a bit. Just try and push that pin over a little bit. Right, so the switch from this encoder here is now going to pin 20. So that leaves me pin 21 and 22 as my DT and my CLK from this encoder. You must check to make sure that is a correct pairing in the Leo Bodner software. So if we locate our DT and our CLK, right, that's our DT cable, which is the fourth one. And then the CLK, which is this one, is our fifth connection on the encoder. So these go as a pair, starting with an odd and then an even number. Must start with an odd and then an even. So if we just look down our pairs, so we're starting with B1, B2 is a pair, B3, B4 is a pair, B5, B6 is a pair, B7, B8 is a pair, and so on. So B9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 is a pair. So our next pair along here is 21 and 22, which is what we've got. So I'm going to put DT into 21. Not an easy task, so DT's got to go into 21. These pins are just so close. Move that over there. So DT is that one. So it's DT on pin 21. You can assign whatever pins you like, but as long as you make sure you follow the pairing sequence if you're using a Leo Bodner card. Completely different if you're using an Arduino. There we go, DT and the CLK. And that's our first rotary encoder connected. Right, I'm going to work through the rest now off camera, and come back to you when it's all done. Okay, so just to recap what we've done so far, we've got the upside down. Got the G1000 Autopilot printed in PLA. We've attached all the tactile switches and the rotary encoders. All here is all our rotary encoders. Got the FMS, altitude, heading, course and barometric, and that on here. Our rotary encoders there, which is the KY-040s. Leave a link in the description. And then on the back we have our wiring to our Bodner card, the BB64. Got 64 inputs. So all the switches connected to the inputs and your rotary encoders are all connected. Remembering certain pairs, you must use certain pairs to use the BB64 for rotary encoders. And that's all there. Okay, so that's enough for this video for today. Hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, don't forget to leave me a comment. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. In part 3 we'll be doing the software part of the BBI64 linked to Flight Sim 2020. Okay, thanks again for watching. Hope it's not too long for you. Catch you next time on Tactile.